Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Sam Roberts Wrestling Podcast. Introducing your host from New York, here is Sam Roberts.
Back here in the lovely Not Sam Studios, here for Sam Roberts Wrestling Podcast. I'm the last professional broadcaster, Sam Roberts. And with me at this time is Curt Hawkins.
So,
Curt, what's the haps?
what is the haps?
Yeah. The last time we talked was, you were not in WWE at the time, right? Or had you just come back?
Okay, so I remember it so well because Tyson Kidd was visiting me.
Yes, he came.
He came with me, and we came to the city because we were already heading in anyway to go to the Knicks game.
Right.
And he had never been to...
Serious.
He had never been to Sirius, but he had never been to, like, New York to, like, not wrestle. So I was, like...
Oh, wow.
Kind of taking him around, like, you know, we got food and things like that. And he had never been to an NBA game, and, like... So we did that whole experience. But then also that was the night with the Charles Oakley stuff. Are you familiar with that?
I don't... Oh, yeah, at the game.
At the game.
You were at
like,
that game.
It's all very memorable to me. Like, Charles Oakley got, I don't know, really, allegedly, something was up, and he got
in the face of the security guard, right?
And it was the guard went crazy, and it was like, hard to forget that. So that's why I know that it was, I want to say February 2017.
And so was that, you were back in WWE at that time?
Yes.
But you had only just come back.
Yeah, I came back that fall of 16 to television.
Right.
Yeah.
And because that was right as the brand split happened.
Yes.
And it was like, okay, what are we going to do here? So, an interesting thing happened. I feel like characters really took off, and the Curt Hawkins thing really happened when you got switched off SmackDown. Jinder went to SmackDown, you went to Raw. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting because, Jinder went on to kind of out of nowhere become WWE champion and have this run that nobody really predicted for Jinder. Whereas Curt Hawkins started, one of the most memorable losing streaks in the history of the business.
Yeah, two different roads.
Yeah, yeah. Did you from the beginning go like, okay, I'm going to make the most of this? Because I remember the first time we talked, and we talked about it since, that like the whole winning and losing thing isn't really something that bugs you. It's just a matter of having something to do so you can do it well.
Yeah, so my main priority always is just to do the best I can. Whatever situation I'm handed, I'm going to do the best. Whatever match I'm in, I'm trying to literally, steal a show in the regards of what I'm allowed to be doing.
Right.
So that I was just doing my thing. What really sparked it all was there was some kind of like online article or something that said, hey, Curt Hawkins just lost his 100th match in a row. Where like, I think, and I'm not throwing a shot out there, but I think most of my colleagues would be like, man, if they saw that about themselves, they'd be like, man, that's bull, and be upset about it. And I was like, someone, a bunch of people tweeted me this information, and I was like, oh my God, that's true. Yes, let's talk about it.
This is a Gilbert level streak. Like this is real life.
That's pretty cool. I was like, not everyone's doing that for sure. I was like, I didn't know what it could become, but I knew like, why not embrace it and acknowledge it.
And so that's what happens. Like that article comes out, and you go to people and say like, hey, this is happening. This is kind of what I want to.
There's been times since that article where I was supposed to I remember one time I was supposed to beat Heath Slater on Main Event, and I went, oh, no. I said, no, please, no.
Yeah.
I said, what? No. I said, this could be something. I said, but there's no sense in ending it on Main Event against Slater. Like,
that's the Hawkins politicking. You politic to lose.
Which I'm like, who does that?
Yeah.
No one. But I have. I've gone and begged. I literally went to the head writer of Raw and said, no, please, no. I said, I can't. And they were cool about it in the first place because it was more like, hey, good, you're great. Good job. You get to win one tonight. And I'm like, oh God, no, you don't understand. And I remember that on that particular night, I was like, can I just run something by you? I was like, you guys are all aware of this streak. And they say, yeah. He goes, I was like, does Vince know about it? And they're like, probably not. I said, well, can you please just tell him? Yeah, before you make the decision. And I got out of it. But it's things like that, which I don't think many other performers would be willing to do. But.
And it would be difficult, though, for you as a performer to just go directly to Vince and go, Vince, I just want you to know I'm really enjoying what I've been doing. I hope you've been noticing. I've lost 100 matches in a row. It's good stuff, man.
But it is, because it's entertaining.
Right.
You know? Yeah.
But
so
how do you, but it's one thing for you to go to the writers. How do you, as a performer, track down Vince himself to say...
He's obviously intimidating, Vince McMahon, you know, he's the ruler of wrestling, but I've always had like a good rapport with him. Like I'm very comfortable talking to him and things like that.
Well, do you think he also kind of values the fact that you have been able to make the most out of the things that you're given? Like, you're not...
That, and I think he's seen me wrestle for all these years now, and he knows, like, I'm a very serviceable pro wrestler. Like,
right.
Yes, I'm going to do what he tells me and do it pretty well.
Right.
And I think he appreciates that. And, you know, so I'm not, you know, Roman Reigns, but like, as far as, you know, where he sees me as star level,
right.
I don't think.
But there is a value to Curt Hawkins that he's very aware of.
For sure, yes. And he's very aware of that. Yeah.
Right.
He's called me a good hand several times in meetings and to my face.
Well, I also think that, like, there's a big difference between taking on a role of a character that is humiliating, right? Like, there have been in the history of WWE and wrestling in general, these characters that are clearly done because, you know, we kind of want to humiliate this guy for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And that's not really what Curt Hawkins is. I don't think if the goal is to make you look bad,
yeah,
I don't think they're giving you 5 minutes of mic time before your matches.
Exactly.
I don't think they're letting you have a cane and then
I haven't felt that way.
Right.
I haven't felt like the court gesture, I guess. I don't know. You know, I feel like I've been an entertaining small aspect of the show when given the chance. So
right.
That's my goal, you know.
Yeah.
But I feel like the fans are smart enough to be laughing with me, not at me, really. Mm-hmm. I could be wrong in that, but
no, I think and I think that again, you getting promo time helps
makes
immensely
a big difference than just
because you're actually building a character behind, and you're a bad guy, so it's not like the fact that you have an ego about it means that at no point are we as fans going like, oh, Curt Hawkins is going to do it. Like, you're not an underdog.
Yeah, and
in the sense that you think you're better than you are.
Started that way,
yeah.
But it's been so long now that I just feel like people are really starting to feel sorry for me.
There was this moment on Raw, and it was only a few weeks ago when you had it with the with the local talent. I can't remember his name at the moment.
It was James Harden.
Yeah.
But not,
yeah, James
not
Harden.
really.
That's
Yes.
right. When it was you and James Harden, and I was like, they're not really, like, this isn't it, is it? And then when it wasn't it was so satisfying.
That I have that, like, you know, tool in my toolbox now that people care whether I win or lose.
Right.
'Cause they're intrigued.
Right.
Like, what's up with this thing, you know?
Now, do you start keeping track after the article comes out, 0-100? Do you then start keeping track of all your matches so you know the number?
Yes, and it's tough sometimes, like, because I'm on the, you know, I'm doing the live events and stuff, and I'm, you know, there's a lot of times I've been doing a thing where, you know, say I'll lose to somebody on a live event, and I'll get on the microphone and say, oh, I wasn't ready, you know, that was BS, you know, I'm not going anywhere till I get another opponent, and then Braun comes out and smashes me, so I'm losing, like, at least 6 times a weekend before I even get to TV.
And do those all count, or am I...
Oh, yeah, I mean,
right.
The bell's ringing, that's a real match. So it's got to the point, like, kind of rather quickly where I had to... I have to put it in my Twitter and Instagram profile after every match because I'll forget. I don't know where it's at.
Wow.
And another thing that sparked that I have to do that is because when fans meet me now and they get my autograph, they more times than not ask me to write where I'm at. Like, oh, and what? And I'm in the airport and it's 4:30 in the morning. I'm like, I can't even, my brain's not working, and I'm like, you know.
You have to check.
It really helps to have that information, you know, and not because. Like I said, I was racking them up pretty good at certain points.
Yeah. Have you had any visions of how this thing?
I don't even think about it.
Right, because you just want it. Because right now we're just still riding.
I'm having a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's also like because once you get one victory, like, it's not like you're going to go on an undefeated streak, right?
But maybe.
I mean, you could.
It's just like the possibilities are endless.
Yeah.
So I really just try not to think about it.
Especially because the fact that, like you said, this is just a little part of the show, that means you can do it for a long time.
For sure, yeah.
Without,
like I said, then there people it's made it a lot more fun to perform like on a live event or something because people are like a lot more invested in what I'm doing.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not just like random guy Curt Hawkins anymore. They're like, oh, the losing guy is going to win tonight. Am I going to see it? And you know, Portland. You know, like they're intrigued, and that's fun. Like to have that interaction as a performer.
Whose idea was it for the T-shirt? Did you go to them and go, there needs to be a Curt Hawkins T-shirt, or did you just get the news?
So that was that's funny. I was just going to tell that story when you were asking about Vince.
Yeah.
I thought of the shirt, and then I drew it up like real crappy in pencil, and I sent it to my buddies, like super talented with design work and stuff, and he made it look like really nice. And then I actually just knocked on Vince's door and showed him and said, hey, look, you know, I've been here 10 years. I've never had a shirt. I never really thought I was deserving of a shirt, but look, people are starting to think this is kind of, you know, a thing, and, you know, like I designed this up, and shortly, I don't know like what he had to do with that, but I had the shirt shortly after. So
that's amazing.
Yeah,
and that must have been awesome.
I mean, yeah, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you find out you're getting an elite Mattel figure.
People have to understand, I've literally watched wrestling and been obsessed with it when I was 5 years old. So any little thing.
Yeah.
I've also, and actually just told your wife this upstairs, like, I've been fired before and brought back.
You're right.
So my perspective is a lot different than a lot of people. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I already loved it and appreciated it to begin with. Then I lost it and now I got it back. So like, it's like tenfold. So
that's interesting because you went on, especially now because you've been back for a little while, so your perspective is even more different. You went on a really good independent run, though. Like when you...
Well, I mean, I love WWE, but
right.
I love wrestling, and I say, you know, it comes in all shapes and sizes.
Right. But I mean, I think as Brian Myers, like you, especially on the East Coast, and maybe that's just because what's most visible to me, like you were a pretty solid fixture on the indie scene. Like it was a really good run.
One of the best things that ever happened to me. It was a blessing in disguise, like something that needed to happen, and I loved every minute of it I did. And it
definitely proved that, like, okay, as much as I want to be in WWE, I'm a good wrestler. Like this isn't. I'm not.
You know, so I have a school where I teach people, and I think a big thing with wrestling, and since it's such a performance, is having that confidence.
Right.
If you don't have that, you're in an uphill battle. But once you have that confidence, you're like almost unstoppable, I want to say.
Right, because you can make a living doing this.
Yes, yeah.
You're not dependent,
and you know, not be scared of situations. And, you know, it's that comfortability,
and you know,
as a performer and in the ring, and just I think that's what separates guys and takes guys to the next level.
And the stuff that you get thrown into that you make the most out of, that's a skill set that I think is super valuable in wrestling that a lot of people don't have.
I think you gotta, especially like I said, this is entertainment, you know. So the guy that loses a ton is entertaining, and he's gonna do some wacky stuff and get hit in the head with a taco and whatever, you know. Right. I'm gonna go for it. You know,
it is what it is.
I'm gonna fearlessly do that segment the best I can.
Right. You get to do some things when you were wrestling on the indies that you definitely wouldn't have, and I don't think will ever get a chance to do in WWE, like do a barbed wire match, do a bunch of stuff. And you know, you were main eventing shows. Not that you'll never do that in WWE, but you hadn't done it in WWE. Was that another part of it, that as a wrestling fan, because you grew up watching not just WWE, but
just
ECW.
Once I realized there was more, you know, I couldn't get enough. You know,
right. So was that another satisfying part of it that you were like,
I'm living out all these different. You know, I'd already been in WWE for almost 10 years, and you know, had around all these legends, and then all these guys, and then I went out in the indies and I met all these independent. Like, you know, I've built such a rapport with people. Like I feel like I know everybody, you know.
Right.
And I've done a lot at a young age, and then things like that, like the non-WWE things, like a barbed wire match. You're right. Like whatever thought I've done that, no way.
Right.
After doing it, I realized like why people do things like that. The adrenaline rush was like through the roof.
Right.
Cool, which I get. I'm good. It was a one and done thing. But I think I don't know. All those experiences are gonna make up what ultimately is like my career at the end, you know. So I think that's cool.
Has anybody figured out that you're wearing Mets colors yet?
It's not as figured out as you would think.
Right.
Which is weird.
Right.
They're like so embarrassingly bad right now, and so it's like Curt Hawkins, the
it's
character.
perfect.
It's like poetic. I feel like.
Yeah.
But it's funny. Michael Cole's a diehard Mets fan, and in all the years I've known him, I don't think we've ever had a conversation not about the Mets. That's all we talk about.
Well, because I guess
we see each other.
Especially right now, there's not that many people that have conversations with the Mets about the Mets with.
Well, yeah, even now. I mean, now they're so bad, I'm almost like avoiding speaking about them. But
Just go the other way when you see Michael Cole.
And Corey Graves is kind of like a little kayfabe baseball fan. He's been throwing some funny, like, he said something about, I don't remember exactly, but something about Jose Reyes and me being pathetic or equally pathetic, which I popped at when I heard it after the fact. But yeah, people, I don't know why. I don't know. It was just something. I started that on the Indies, the blue and the orange.
Right. Well, you were the Prince of Queens, right?
Yes, and I was like, I kind of stole it from the Taz idea, not the orange, but I stole the idea of like I want to have my own. I'll always just be blue and orange for the rest of my career. I don't want to change colors. Like guys just wear different color gear like nonstop. I said I want to be loyal to like a team. Like
I wear blue and orange.
My team is my brand, and I wear blue and orange. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Which is even a bigger deal when you come back to WWE. It's like I had this plan to just wear blue and orange forever. Who's to say that WWE is going to let that happen? They could have told me
to, here, wear this green singlet, and we're like, okay,
Yes.
But
so is that what?
Just kind of worked out.
Is that what it is? That like you do this thing on this run on the Indies. It's incredibly satisfying. You get to do a bunch of stuff that you never necessarily thought you would do. You develop this whole new level of confidence. You make great money doing it. Like it's something you could conceivably do. When WWE comes knocking again, is it just that you started this thing because as a little kid you wanted to be a WWE wrestler and WWE is where you want to be?
It's the biggest thing there is. It's the mecca of pro wrestling. So why wouldn't I want to be a part of it?
Do you talk to guys now who, and you don't have to? Yeah, I'm not asking you to mention any names, but who are sitting there like wanting to leave, or they're bitter, they're like I just might go on the Indies and explain to them.
Yes, I try to give them my perspective, like you don't understand,
right?
Because I had a great time, and I had on the Indies, and the experience was cool, and like you said, I did all these cool things that I didn't think I would do, and I love wrestling, so I was all fueled by that. But it was a lot of hard work,
a
lot of hustle, a lot of lonely Virgil moments that you gotta like you gotta suck it up, and that autograph line is not never ending wherever you go. There's a lot of
right
moments where you gotta really check your ego. So, and I don't think a lot of guys who haven't done it, I don't think they understand.
Yeah, and I would imagine it's like the first show after WWE, the first month, it's all like, whoa, this guy's now here. But after 6 months, it's like, oh yeah, he's here every other month.
And well, so that's twofold.
Uh-huh.
It's it's all television exposure. You come up, they see you, and it's like, whoa, oh my God, Curt Hawkins is at this indie show, and then it goes downhill. But if you do a good job, and this was always my goal in the Indies, you do a good job, and you consistently work somewhere. You don't just come in and take them for a bunch of money,
right?
And have some lazy match and leave. I was doing the opposite. I was like, you don't have to pay me this much, but I'd like to come all the time and get involved in storylines and feuds and earn a rapport with the fans, where it was like they were coming to see the Prince of Queens, Brian Myers, and not Curt Hawkins anymore,
right? Right.
So which I think that was my business philosophy.
Which I think feels like on some level what like Cody Rhodes did with like Ring of Honor and New Japan and stuff like that.
For sure, it's that consistency, and they fall in love with you in a different way than they, a different light than they saw you before.
So there were rumors when they announced the brand split that a bunch of guys were going to be coming back. Did those rumors come out? And that was like, that was you and Shelton and Jinder and that whole thing. Mm-hmm. When those rumors first started, because there were other names popping up that just never panned out. Did you get an offer before the rumors, or did you hear the rumors and go, oh, I wonder if I'm going to get a...
long before the rumors, I was called.
Right, so, and said, we're doing something here.
Yeah.
And you just had to keep that under your hat?
Yeah, I was like sworn to secrecy, so
right.
I told my wife, and that was it. I didn't even tell my parents and stuff. So
wow.
Yeah.
But you were pumped.
And but also nervous. Like, so it had been so long since I had been hired. WWE has evolved and changed in 10 years that like even the hiring process is so different. I had to do things that I didn't do the first time around, like an extensive physical and all that stuff, and then a social media background, which like thank God I've pretty much only had social media as a WWE wrestler, so I don't have like skeletons in that closet, like weird stuff like that, but just things like that I didn't have to do. So I was like, okay, let's make sure that all these,
which is so smart.
We're gonna dot the lowercase j's before I tell everyone, what's going on.
That's so smart though, because obviously WWE is a high profile company, and they're aware of the world that we live in, and like these are all the potential pitfalls.
I constantly tell my wrestling students, like, don't tweet stupid stuff.
Right.
It's not worth losing your dream job to like, say something super offensive on Twitter.
Right, because you're 22 and like
And
it's
it
going to get a
doesn't-
lot of
it
attention
doesn't-
right now,
yeah,
but it's
and not even
right.
It doesn't. It's just. It's
You got
not,
9 retweets.
Not even close to worth the risk to me.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So, but that's the age we're living in. You know, people have to figure that out because the social media world is fairly new.
And what was the pitch to you? Like, were you kind of aware that you were coming back to, like, what was the idea?
I don't think there was a whole lot.
It's just like Hawkins is a good wrestler. We can bring him back.
What I think it was is they had just let go a lot of people, but then the brand split opportunity came about, and I think they wanted to make sure they had guys that had worked TV before and could be put on TV like
that makes
right
sense.
Now.
Yeah.
So that's why it was all guys that had Rhino and people who have done
Right.
that. Yeah. So
Right.
there's not much risk in bringing them back because they're going to know what they're doing instead of a green guy or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. And it's not a guy who like, okay, we have to put everything behind this guy right now, and
Exactly.
then if it doesn't work out,
it wasn't. Yeah. I don't think it was ever like the bells and the whistles for these guys. It was just, hey, we need more bodies, and these bodies are serviceable. We'll figure it out later what that service is going to be.
Right.
Yeah.
So, do you have a favorite, or is there a most painful thing that's happened? Because part of this character is that you get to do a lot of fun stuff and a lot of stuff that's existed outside the ring, and a bunch of stuff with Braun, and you've done stuff with Brock.
Man, I've done too many of those pull aparts that are like,
Yeah.
we just did one last night in Boston, but not with Brock, but the ones with Brock are especially scary. But because he's the real deal, obviously. But that's as much as I've ever really.
Is there
Sadly and almost sickly, I would love to face Brock Lesnar and get my ass kicked just because.
Right.
That's how.
I'm surprised that it hasn't happened at one of the like house shows or something like that. Right.
I am kind of shocked that like he hasn't just
come in F5.
like I'm in the ring and he levels me and then he does his promo. Like something just because I am, and I would love to work with him. So we'll see.
I mean, can you imagine the reaction if like you come out to the ring, you get the microphone, you don't even say one word, you're about to say a word, and then the music hits, and you're like, oh no.
Yeah. And my reaction will be legit. But
do you have? Is there any? Braun obviously is the real deal as well.
Yes.
Is there anything that like? Is there a most painful thing or a stunt or whatever that you're like, wow?
He's thrown me through the wall a couple times. The wall before WrestleMania, the backstage one. He put me through the video wall, which was scary, but all in all, okay. The wall before there was a Mania Go Home Raw. He put me through the one wearing the Pick Me Braun shirt.
Yes.
The margin for error, like of what I was being like lawn darted through, was so small.
Is that because there were like 2x4s?
Yes, and it was not a lot, and like he's forcibly grabbing me and throwing me so fast, like there's not a whole lot I could do, and it was just kind of one of those like, okay, let's see what happens.
You just have to swallow,
just in hope that for the best, and it was like.
But you're terrified.
That one was like when I saw the stunt guy setting up, and I was like, oh man, this is like barely my shoulder width. I was like, oh my god,
because it's not like you can put a big X on the wall where the right spot is.
There was like a piece of tape that the guy showed me is the dead center, and to see it, but Braun's manhandling me and throwing me so fast, like it's like I can only do and see so much.
But it was okay.
It wound up being okay, but that was for sure the scariest one, if that's what you.
Do you have a favorite?
The video wall one was cool.
The video wall, yeah.
That one, that was wild because that was supposed to be a match, where I do my Curt Hawkins call out and he comes, and I piss my pants and run away, and it's a 10 count and I just lose, and then. I don't know how, but just throughout the day it just escalated. Like, well, what if he this and what if he that, and then like so it was supposed to be running away and nothing to brawling all around the arena and then getting smashed through a table, slammed on the ramp, and then driven through the video wall. And I was like, wait, what happened? What happened? I'm looking at my fake watch like, what? But I mean, it was fun. It was a big adrenaline rush and stuff.
Right, and it's memorable.
And Braun's actually a great guy, and we have a pretty funny like rapport and stuff.
Yeah, so. And he's kind of like you make him look amazing.
That's like my job, and I feel like I'm really good at that.
So,
so I don't mind. That's another aspect of just being the guy that loses all the time. Like I don't walk in like thinking like, maybe I could roll this guy up and beat him tonight. Like I'm not thinking that. But my mindset is like, okay, what does he do? I'm gonna do it take whatever moves he does the best for him to make this the absolute best and make, it can be.
Yeah.
And I don't think a lot of people think like that because they don't have to, but I am. My wheels are spinning. I'm like, man, how can I take his finish and make it look even better than other people have? Or more special or bigger and better.
Yeah. One thing that I remember after our last conversation, I kicked myself. There's always like these little things that I'm like, that's the one thing I didn't ask about. Mm-hmm. And the one thing we didn't get to last time was you and Curtis Axel trained with The Rock, correct? Like got The Rock into shape, or not into shape, but like worked with him to prep for WrestleMania. Which WrestleMania was it?
No, so it started, the first thing he did was that Survivor Series tag with Cena.
Right, at Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, so we did it leading into that.
Wow.
Yeah.
How was that?
It's up there with like one of the coolest things I've ever been fortunate enough to do.
It's gotta be.
Just the whole experience of it.
How long did you work with him for?
That whole fall leading into the Mania match with Cena.
Just like, and you'd go up for...
We were like his secret agents of like bumping, like, because his schedule's so insane.
Yeah.
Whenever wherever he was filming, we did it in New Orleans. They'd have a WWE ring and like a ref, and me and Joe would be on call, and basically like the ring's just set up in this warehouse, and like they'd call and be like, you have trained with The Rock tomorrow, you have a 6 a.m. flight to New Orleans, go. And we just go and do it. Yeah, and it was a lot of things like that. And then another ring was set up in Miami when he was filming there, and we same thing. We'd just be like on call.
How come you two were the guys that...
The old good hand thing, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know if it came from Vince or Hunter or somebody. They were,
we trust these guys.
Safe guys that are, going to be cool. So, and he's like a megastar, maybe the biggest star in the whole world, but he couldn't have been cooler and down to earth and like, like have his phone number and text, and things like that, that you wouldn't believe. It's just super cool.
That's
it was
awesome.
A great experience.
Yeah. And did you just prep for the tag match, or did you keep going?
All the way to that Mania. So
now was that
once in a lifetime, and then they did the very next year.
Right. You didn't prep him for the twice in a lifetime.
No,
you prepped him for the once in a lifetime.
We didn't train for that one, and I feel like the match showed. But,
it didn't have the Hawkins touch.
The first one was awesome.
Right.
But just so cool. It was almost like being in the weirdest. Like there was one time leading into the Survivor Series tag. They had it was Miz and Truth against Rock, Cena, in a tag, and so I guess the producer was Michael Hayes or something, and they were having like a private rehearsal about it in New Orleans leading up to it.
Now this is where he's filming a movie or whatever.
Yes, and then Dwayne, like he said, whatever in his interaction with the office said, I really think Brian should be there for this or whatever. So like I had to go to this thing. I'm not even remotely booked on this show, but I'm there to like oversee this thing with like Michael Hayes and be like a crash test dummy and throw out my ideas and stuff. It's just, stuff like that is like, what the heck am I doing?
And what do you do as like you're walking through stuff? You're just like that's what you are. You're the crash test dummy.
Yeah, but I think you know me well enough now. Like I don't really keep my mouth shut, so I'm like, it'd be cool if you like I'm throwing stuff out there. I mean, what do I got to lose?
Right.
Yeah. So
well, I mean, and that's the best part, that like you're a fan, right? This the experience to get to be the guy who does this is like.
I remember trying to get him to do the rock bottom on the apron.
Oh.
I remember being like, man, dude, indie guys do these apron bumps all the time. This is 2011, where it like kind of was like. Now it's a very common thing, but it was like more like a hip.
Yeah, it was pretty cutting edge.
Yeah, like a hip
2011.
Bump. I'm like, Dwayne, this will pop the shit out of people if you do this. That'd be cool as crap. I mean, he didn't do it, but
did you try it?
No, he didn't even get that far. But that's how much like I got really comfortable with him. Like I didn't mind saying that to him, or talking to him about it.
Yeah, that's amazing too, to be there, because even though he's a megastar, he's also one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, right? Like the run that he was on is like, so for you to be in this position where you're giving not the Hollywood star, the wrestler, The Rock, advice on how to pop a crowd. Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
Pretty ballsy and stupid. Now you put it that way. But he's also like someone that being around him, I was like, okay, I can see and understand why this guy is a success at everything he does.
Did you pick up on stuff?
Just little things like, whereas like if he's thinking of what he's doing in the ring, he's. When Curt Hawkins is doing moves, he's doing moves and getting them done. Rock has to like take the time to think about how insane the reaction's going to be for each move he does, and time-wise that like.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. He if he's going to do this move, it has to be at this part in the match, because if he does it over here, he's burning out the audience before.
But not even that. Just that like everything he does gets such a big reaction
Yeah.
that he has to make the time in the match for that.
Right.
He can't just go to the next thing. He's got to let that moment.
Oh, right.
He's got to
Like-
let that moment happen. And
Like when a comedian is figuring out his set, he knows that you can't just go from punchline to setup. There should be a laughter break here.
Yes, for sure.
And he's got to figure out
And I
that,
was like, whoa, this guy's so over. He knows that he's going to just blow the roof off this place, and that's going to be the reaction. And
Yeah.
he's right.
that's awesome. So when do you watch a match like that, like the WrestleMania match that you had a part of with like Pride? Or do you see spots that like, oh, that's
and then
something?
Actually, this just sparked my memory. So that match happens and whatever, it was a great match for me at WrestleMania, whatever. And then on the way out of the building, I passed him and he like hugged me and thanked me. He said, you had a small part in that. Or I can't remember exactly what he said, but it's kind words and like a moment we had or whatever. And then the next day at TV, this one of the social media guys, I can't remember who, was like, hey, I took a photo of you in Rock, and like I have it of him like embracing me and like thanking me for like
That's
his help,
awesome.
which is like completely outlandish, but
Yeah.
like pretty cool thing,
Yeah, that's amazing. Did you work with Cena at all, like leading towards that? Or
No,
was that more
he
just?
was never there for the rehearsals. It was just Dwayne and Joe and
I guess Cena
myself.
he was busy wrestling every night.
Yeah, that's yeah.
And doing his thing. Yeah, man, that's pretty incredible. So speaking of being a fan, one of the things I feel like it's not so much now, but when you were starting out, definitely when you first got when the Edgeheads were first starting out, I feel like it was still a thing. People are like, you can't be a fan.
Oh, yeah,
When you're
totally.
in the locker room, you
That's-
can't be a fan. I feel like this because they're all like everybody's kind of around our age
Mm-hmm.
or younger. We all kind of grew up the same way, so everybody is fans now.
It was, I guess, just because maybe when I started, Zach and I were 21, 22 when we on the road, and everyone else was like men,
Right.
We're not. So back then it was definitely like to be a fan was like so,
Right.
and you didn't want to confess that and stuff. And now that I've gotten older, I realize that I think the gap of the age gap there was a big part of it.
Of course.
But and also because this is something that's bothered me to an extent throughout my career, like that I don't think it should be frowned upon that you're a fan or
Right.
enthusiastic about.
I mean, you're
the
supposed to be passionate, right?
Yeah,
So
so
that's not frowned upon.
But then I think what a lot of like the old timers don't get, and where the disconnect is, and this is just my theory that I've come up with over the years, is that they didn't they grew up with maybe some black and white PWIs to read.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Our generation has grown up with video games and toys and just
Yes.
like nonstop, like interactive, like fanboy, get involved type stuff.
Yeah.
So I think that's where it's like, and hopefully and now everyone from here on out is going to have that luxury. So that old time thing is dead and gone. And I hope like older wrestlers can hear me out on that and kind of be like, okay, that makes a little more sense.
And it's also like the
than
way
just-
wrestling was presented too. Like for our generation, the 80s, the
Yeah.
mid to late 80s was the first time that wrestling was portrayed like a Saturday morning cartoon.
Yeah,
Like it was
It's
marketed
larger than life instead
So-
of like
so-
this legitimate tough guy
Right.
sport. We
So-
didn't have that. We had like it's a cartoon.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So guys our age watched wrestling like we watched He-Man, like we watched Ninja Turtles. So we're going to have that connection
Exactly.
with it, which I think the generations before us
Yeah.
didn't have.
That's what I just want people to know, like, especially if you're trying to get into the business, like being a fan. I mean, there's like a line to cross. There is a line.
Of course, you have to be a professional.
Exactly. There you go. Okay.
Yeah. But
Like-
it's like you can't just go and be a fan, but like
am I remember when I was, I'm gonna say when I started, like it would be like if you wore like a wrestling shirt to wrestling practice, they were like, what's wrong with this guy?
Right.
Where now, like if a student wore a wrestling shirt to one of my practices, I think it's cool.
Right.
I'd be like, oh, cool. Where'd you get that? Oh, yeah, like that.
Yeah. So
But, but there is the flip side. Like we had a kid sign up last week, and he pulled me aside after practice and said, hey, can I talk to you? And I'm like, oh God, what's this? Because I'd already done class with him and knew he doesn't exactly have what it takes. I knew that. And he said, hey, can you tell Alexa Bliss I said hi on Monday? I said,
Oh my God.
And I said, yeah, if I remember, sure, bud. And then, of course, he followed up this week and asked me if I did. I said, no, I didn't have time. I'm sorry. You know, things like that. So, like, and
Yeah, she said hi back.
We'll tell him, you know, next month when he goes to sign up, like, we don't really think this is for you, or, you know, move along. But
how has that been being a trainer?
It's one of my favorite things too, just because you know you love wrestling so much, like I do, and then you can give back in a way, you know.
Plus, you can catch that young enthusiasm.
For sure,
right?
Yeah.
Like you can. It brings you back to you, just kind of wanting to start out.
Yep.
Right. You get to see it in these kids.
It's a very odd art form, so there's a lot to it, you know, and you can't just learn it in a month or so. It takes so much.
How quickly do you know? Because like you just said, this kid doesn't have what it takes.
Yeah.
How quick? I hope he's watching this. How quickly do you?
So he really knows.
Yeah. Because he's like, I don't think he's talking about me, and then nope, I did the Alexa Bliss thing. That's me.
Yeah.
How quickly do you know? In some cases, I guess.
Pretty quick.
You do.
Like that day, I can tell.
And it's not. Is it athleticism? Or is it just like?
No, because I'm all about the environment. Mm-hmm. Okay, at Creat Pro Wrestling Academy in Hicksville, New York, I'm all about the environment. Like people that love wrestling, like are enthusiastic, just like me, and are willing to learn. So, like, if you're not the best athlete, we'll take our time and figure it out and see where that goes. If you're bugging me to say hi to Alexa Bliss while I'm trying to teach something,
right?
Then you know you're not ready for what we're doing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And we'll weed you out, and not in a bullying way, but just say, hey, like, thanks but no thanks. Like, this school's not for you.
And that's not because hey we're too cool for you. That's because you're not going to survive in this thing.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's
the school hasn't been like all that lucrative, which is totally fine. Mm-hmm. But like I don't want to just be like, hey, there's a sucker, I'm going to get his money and teach him his wrestling. I'd rather have people who are committed and care and who are like truly trying to learn this very difficult art form. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm more about that.
You started it before you were back in WWE.
Right about this time I got fired, actually.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So when you got back, was there a thought like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to do this school and do this full-time WWE schedule?
No, you know, honestly, there's so much stuff's happened since then. Like, you know, I had a kid and bought a house and all that stuff, and I still teach pretty much every Thursday night that I'm on.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
You know, I do tours or like a rare, you know, family commitment or something. I'll get a sub, but I'm pretty much there every Thursday running a class.
I've noticed too, it feels like the Creat Pro plugs within the WWE world are becoming a little bit more present. Mm-hmm. Not in the sense that like, hey, on Raw I've got a big sign, but just in the sense of like you took I think, what was it, a picture with Sasha Banks and she had a Creat Pro shirt on, and it's just because I'm aware of Creat Pro. Yeah, I think I just notice it like, oh, it's entering into this universe that it kind of wasn't in when you first got back.
I'd like to credit Seth for that because he opened the school, and I think like it's like, well, we can't tell him no, so how can we tell the other guys?
That's how you're just.
That's
like,
my theory.
Yeah,
and I appreciate that.
That
and I
makes
also
sense.
like. I think I've been doing this. I think next week's gonna be 14 years. I think I have the respect of my peers that I know what I'm doing.
You're not that 21-year-old kid.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm a credible coach, and it's cool. And you know, it's not like running, you know, commercials on Raw about it, but they think it's okay. You know,
I mean, and plus,
and now Heath Slater has a school, Luke Gallows has a school. You know, people are, you know,
and who knows who's gonna come out of the school like that? That's
we already have guys that I'm like so proud of. You know,
right?
Like MJF flies all
all
over the country and wrestles all over the place.
Yeah.
We just had a kid, Max Caster, do the week-long tryout at the PC, you know, things like that.
But that's what I mean. That's one of those things that I feel like if WWE has their guys, as long as it's not impeding, it's not stopping them from wrestling, like WWE having access to all these schools is not a bad thing because they have access to talent.
Especially when they need to fill that conga line every week.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, there you go.
Look, if Mojo keeps throwing that cheeseburger around, it's going to get tougher and tougher.
Dance itself. You know?
That's 100% right. So when you and Zach are first starting, and you guys are the kids, and you guys are both like, you know, super fans, do you have to quietly kind of whisper to each other about like
it felt
action
that way.
figures and this is so cool?
And I think when we first started, the only person we talked action figures with would be Swoggle because he was the only one like our age too.
Right.
Other than that, man,
when
we kept that information kind of close to the chest.
Yeah,
a little bit. Like people in developmental would like come over our place would know a little bit more because it was too too murky to hide. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I think that's one of those decisions, like, that you just have to make. Like, for instance, this studio.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not shy.
No, yeah.
But I also know at this point.
Like Jeff Jarrett was in here?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, what was his reaction to all this stuff?
He thought it was cool.
Oh, yeah, so like, yeah.
Yeah, he saw all the figures and everything. He asked if I, like, he was like, "Are you, like, a serious collector?" I'm like, "I have a D. Malenko on the shelf." Like, yeah, I'm a serious collector. I got everybody's over there.
It kind of, this weird just sparked this memory. I remember one time when I first started, Matt Hardy had like a little get together at his house after one of the shows when we were in North Carolina. And it was when Dave Taylor was around.
Yeah.
So Dave Taylor's way older than us and just, legit badass dude. And he's actually hilarious. But we were down in Matt's basement and, like, it's like this Hardy shrine of, like...
his own stuff.
Yeah. And it's an unbelievable, career of merchandise down there. Like, it's pretty cool.
Like all of his magazine covers, all his action figures, his T-shirts.
And, like, Dave was like... He kind of said something to Zach and I, like, man, like... If, like, if someone did this when I was coming up, you'd be, massacred about it.
Right.
He's like, but now that I'm, like, my age, I almost feel, like, foolish that I didn't because, like, I have nothing to show for my... Like, I didn't save anything or collect anything to, like, pass down to my kids now. And,
right. Yeah, I mean, I feel like Bret Hart kind of always had that thing. Like he was kind of mocked because he had the Bret Hart shrine in his house.
Yeah.
Because he was he would have been one of the first guys probably to do something like that. But I mean, it's exactly what I would do.
Like, do you think like Stone Cold has like all his stuff?
I went to
There's like staggering amounts of like.
It was amazing when I went to. I don't know what he's got in his ranch, but I've been to Stone Cold's house to do his podcast, and he's got 2. And I asked him, I was like, "Where's all the stuff?"
Yeah.
And I figured he had. I wanted to see vests.
It would be like
I wanted to see knee braces with like the different color tape on it.
You're talking like gear. I'm talking like his merchandise.
I mean,
like,
the amount of T-shirts, because that was also when they started putting the T-shirts in malls.
Yeah.
So it
would just we'd never
Austin 316 in every color.
Yeah.
He had 2 items, and that's it in the whole house. The gear,
that's wild.
Merch. He had 2 items. One was a big poster of his Got Milk ad. And he said he liked that because Annie Leibovitz took the photo. So it's just like in the room that I was in.
I thought you were going to say because he's real proud of the message. Like, drink milk. It's healthy, kids.
And the second item is a Stone Cold Steve Austin cookie jar in the kitchen.
Man.
And that's it. And there's no other wrestling stuff in the house.
Wow.
At all. And for a guy who loves wrestling, like he stays up on it.
Just some people are just...
He doesn't, but he's also...
Wired different, I guess. And
he's not...
I don't think Ziggler owns one thing of his.
That's a surprise, because I feel like Ziggler...
No.
Wow.
Like, when he gets a new toy, me and Zach have to, like, tell him, like, hey, you have this new extra. He's like, huh? Doesn't care. And doesn't, like, want it or,
Wow.
Yeah.
And you're like, can I have yours, Dad? They're going to send you one?
It's just, I guess, I don't know. I'm wired differently in some, so
yeah. But, I mean, I mean, Stone Cold's not that big of a Stone Cold fan. Like, he's one of the most down-to-earth...
I mean, like,
guys.
I was about to bury Zach, but I don't really have to. Like, I don't have of all my like collection and stuff I display. I don't have like a lot of Curt Hawkins stuff because I feel like it's odd.
But there's not that much Curt Hawkins stuff.
But like, I could put it all in like a shelf and make it.
I guess like, Jax did a bunch of Curt Hawkins.
I've had at least over 10 action figures.
Yeah,
or whatever. The belt or like I don't have like. I just think it's very self-serving of me. Right. I have it of all like these guys I grew up admiring and now my peers, and I think that's cool.
Yeah.
Zach has like a little shelf of all his stuff.
He does.
It could be worse. That's not too bad. So I don't have to bury him too.
Does he have a lot of his gear?
Yeah, a lot of it. So I do too, which is like.
But not like on display.
No, that would be odd.
It would.
Yeah. I actually I remember maybe last year, like Enzo had a video and it was mannequins wearing his gear at his home. And I was like, woo!
No can do.
I mean, I'm a fan, but that's a little too self-serving.
Not
like,
for
what
you.
On earth with it? Like, what?
Although, I do have to get a mannequin because for our wedding, my wife gave me one of Goldust's ring-used outfits.
Jesus. Yeah, you got it.
So I'm gonna put, but again, it's not my.
Yeah,
I didn't wear
not
it.
like I wore this on the Sam Roberts show.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. No, I guess that's true. I mean, I got like a Sam Roberts poster that's on the floor covered by a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, but
and then other
it's
stuff
not like
hanging
in
high.
Your face,
right.
Like,
Right. So, at what point could you and Zach come out of the closet as like action figure wrestling nerds that are still like, I'm not going to stop.
I don't remember being like a moment, but I do feel like it spread and then they were a little frowned upon,
It was frowned upon.
By like veterans and things, yeah. Even to this day, I think like some of the older like producers and stuff just think we're like a bunch of fanboys, like no matter what we do. But it's like, I mean,
it's really, because now it's like a thing. You guys are like sponsored by Mattel, and it's
incredible. It's like pinch me stuff, like dream come true stuff. So I have no shame in it. People are entitled to their opinions, and if you think toys are stupid or being a fan of that kind of stuff.
So you didn't when you won the tag team title, you didn't. Did you get a replica of the title, or you get the original belt that you used?
You get the league will send you like a replica, yeah.
Right. You couldn't. Is there any way for you to be like, can I buy, or you didn't care? Can I buy the belt that
the actual one? Yeah. No, I don't know how that would even, because you're giving it to the next guy. Like it's not even yours anymore. It's still being used.
Yeah, but I guess not even the house show version
yeah, and that came late. It was probably around that time. There's like a live event version that gets kind of beat up.
Yeah.
And then there's TV ones that are like pristine.
Yeah.
But they're still.
But they just keep. They're in cycle.
I don't know where they go. That's prop department stuff. I don't know.
Right, right.
But nothing the boys can do.
Yeah. Do you?
Unless they retire a belt, like doesn't Edge has that U.S. title, right, or something? The WCW U.S. title, because like.
Oh, does he?
Because he was the last.
Because he was the last one.
Like,
yeah.
Okay, see you guys. And went home, went home with it, and like,
yeah.
And I'm pretty sure.
I wonder if that means.
Maybe I can't. I don't want to mix this up, but I know Doring and Roadkill obviously were the last ECW tag champs, and one of them. Had sold the belt recently. No, they sold it. They each had the belt,
and one of them sold.
One of them sold, and one of them didn't. I don't want to mix up who's who, so I don't want to say, but it definitely happened.
That's funny.
Yeah,
yeah. I guess that's why Cena's so smart to get his own belts made, because then it's like this.
That's next level.
The spinning U.S. title.
Yeah.
Like of course he could bring that one home. It says John Cena on it.
You would think, right? I mean, we don't have confirmation on that, but who else would?
I mean, what else are you gonna do with it at this point? Who's got all of his own stuff is Jeff Jarrett. I mean, he's saved everything.
That's cool.
He doesn't have it all on display.
No,
but he's saved absolutely everything. He's air pack stuff. He's got it all in a warehouse. He's got every gear he's ever worn.
That's crazy.
Everything.
But and
that's why, like at the Hall of Fame this year, when they do that setup at Access,
I saw that.
They had a whole monument to Jeff Jarrett because he told him like, "What do you want me to send?"
Yeah.
Like I got everything.
We shot a Mattel video at Access, and it was like. We're always just like rushed in and rushed out of there and do your signing or whatever, and like Zach and I got to go there when there was no fans and just kind of like really soak it all in and check it out. It was a cool experience after like all these years of doing that.
Right.
This is like the first time I ever got to like really enjoy it.
That's the best part about.
I just saw all that stuff, all Jarrett's legit outfits with the neck piece and stuff.
Yeah. That's the best part about doing Radio Row, those early Friday mornings at Access, is that even when it's over, it still doesn't open for hours.
Yeah.
So like after Radio Row,
you can just
walk around and look at stuff.
Yeah, so it was a lot nicer that way. Like after all these years, man, I've been there so many times doing all these signings and this and photos and this and that, and I had never really gotten to do that. I was like, wow, this is actually, if I was a kid coming to this, it'd be pretty special. So
that's amazing. So the Mattel thing is amazing for you.
Oh yeah,
doing that stuff,
and I don't want to Barry Horowitz myself here, but pat on the back for you listeners. But like I don't think anyone else is qualified to do it but me and Zach.
Right.
So I feel pretty accomplished in that sense too.
Yeah, I mean, as somebody like who, obviously I've been a serious collector for a long, long time, and I'm aware. Like I've had conversations with you guys before. Like I don't when like the. Here's who the Elite Squad is. I'm looking at some of those people like,
I understand.
I'm going like,
I understand.
I'm like, listen.
There's certain name value in the WWE champion AJ Styles being in the Elite Squad.
I go, I know he's a video game.
What he technically knows about Mattel WWE action figures, I don't know.
And I'm going like, I'm pretty sure Kathy Kelly has been down here and made fun of me before.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I love Kathy. And I only want the best for her, but I'm pretty sure she's made fun of my collection.
Yeah, but that's fine, because having Broski and I in there ties it all together, and we'll tie up the loose ends on all that stuff. So
right.
I love doing it.
I
love the relationship,
And you're doing the Comic-Con panel.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's so cool. I love that instead of getting guys that are like just the names, like they're getting guys that can
discuss the product and talk about it. Yeah,
because
which I'm so excited to do.
Right. Yeah. The people that go to Comic-Con and go to these panels and watch the whole panel. They're the ones that are gonna.
I've never been to San Diego Comic-Con.
Oh, it's great.
I went. Hornswoggle did a panel for. I want to say that Leprechaun movie he did where he had no lines. He just kind of went.
Right.
And I went with Pat Buck to like just check it out, the New York one, and I was like way overwhelmed.
Dude.
And Broski's like, dude,
San Diego is
even bigger. I was like,
it's
oh man,
way bigger.
What am I getting myself into? But,
dude, it's way bigger. It's a
like,
totally different beast.
Probably for one time in my life, I was like borderline claustrophobic.
Yeah.
About how like.
And that's for New York?
Yeah, and that was New York.
San Diego's a different animal entirely. Yeah, it's a totally different animal.
Wow.
But it's okay. You'll be sitting up on the panel.
Yeah, I think
you know
I'll
what I mean?
get my airspace.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure Mattel will be able to rush you back to that Mattel booth and do whatever it is that you need to do.
We're going to make Bill sweat, hit him with some hard-hitting questions.
You did the video, you guys. We did a wrestling figure special podcast with Bill. Hopefully we'll get to do another one maybe in August with him. Yeah. Actually, we should do one with you and Ryder together.
I'd love that.
Talking about just figures. Yeah. But I told you I watched the video that you guys shot with Bill at Mattel headquarters. And just watching you guys chop him.
When he doesn't know they're coming.
If you watch it, there's a video on WWE.com of Ryder and Hawkins going to Mattel HQ. And there's this look on Hawkins' face as Ryder chops Bill McKeon. Because you acted like you were going to. And then Ryder just did it.
Just drilled
and then you had this look like, can we do that? And then as the video goes on, you're like, we're chopping him now.
The even funnier thing and like pretty unfortunate for Bill was like, they took that first take probably because the reactions were the funniest.
Yeah.
But like we did a bunch. And we were just lighting him up. You know? So he took like way more than just that. You know. So he's a good sport, and I think our interactions with him is what's gonna like make a lot of that. I think for the collectors and stuff.
Right,
you know?
and continue to make it a thing.
Yeah.
And I guess I'm assuming the big Hawkins, because there have been teases for the Hawkins Mattel Elite figure.
Yes.
You probably can't even tell me, but I'm assuming that the big reveal is coming at San Diego.
I don't really even know that information, but I would assume as well.
Because if they teased it and you were on the panel and then they just didn't have it or mention it, it'd be like, what are we doing here?
At least, the very least, that rendering. So
right.
I'll be fine.
Right.
But I'm such a fan of the Mattel WWE product that it's just like such an honor to finally be in the Elite line. So
you're gonna bury Jax at Comic-Con?
Oh, the Jax is terrible. Yeah. I really just unbelievable the things they pulled. That I was listening to the Jarrett interview about the Owen Hart head and him not knowing that. And I was like, how do you not know that, Jeff?
Yeah, you texted me.
The most criminal thing in wrestling figure history.
I never forget because Jax
he acted as if how did you never hear that?
He didn't. It's just new information to him.
I heard it with my own ears.
Like, I thought it was kind of ridiculous that I even brought it up because it just popped into my head because I remember as a kid being so pissed.
It's criminal.
Because Jax they would do like one series that would be amazing. And they did that series.
And then take like 7 off.
Right.
Yeah.
But they did a series that had the first short-haired Owen Hart. And it was a really good figure. And he had the singlet. Yeah. And he had the
black
crew
heart
cut.
Owen Hart.
The black heart.
Yeah.
But he had his 2 thumbs that were sticking up because Owen, whatever. When they made a Jeff Jarrett with short hair figure, they just took the exact same figure. They painted the top of the singlet white.
And there's ones that black, so it looks like a white or black tank top.
Right, but Jeff didn't wear a tank top to the ring.
No.
And then they just painted the shorts to look like Jeff Jarrett shorts, and they painted a goatee on the Owen Hart head, and that was it. That was the Jeff Jarrett figure.
And to think about, like, it's the attitude. It's the hottest the industry maybe has ever been. And the laziest that the toy products have ever been.
And
cheap.
Owen and Jeff are tag partners.
I know. That's another problem.
Everybody's going to notice. Every collector is going to put them next to each other and go, what is this? It's the same thing. Yeah. It's ridiculous.
I remember thinking when that came out, like, oh, okay, it's just this one. They're going to fix this. And then they released that Jeff with the Owen head, like,
multiple times.
In several series. Over and over again. Just so insulting.
And then they would take, like, and this is going way inside, but they would take like the Owen.
Your non-figure listeners.
They're gonna okay.
Wowzers. Yeah.
But they would take the one that really bugged me. I would look forever. They made this hardcore Holly because that Owen, the legs of that Owen figure with the shorts,
the biker shorts,
awesome.
Yeah.
Right. I love that one. and they made Hardcore Holly with that.
Yes.
Except with a different torso, and I love that Hardcore Holly figure. But all of them that they made once, I think they did it properly. But all the other ones, they put Sid legs.
Yes,
and they just painted on the short,
bikers,
and they were horrible.
Which looks a lot worse.
Way
yes.
worse.
Yeah.
And you go, why did you do that? Why would what benefit is it?
This is gonna one up your nerdtastic story. A lot of those Jax bodies, which would drive me nuts, would have the Bret Hart singlet top.
Yeah.
And then the dent from where the back of his hair would be on the back.
Yeah.
Did you ever notice that? And then
Yeah.
So the guys have these huge gaping dents in the top of their torsos because that's where Bret Hart's hair was, but they reused the same parts.
With the guy with short hair or whatever.
Yeah. And you just have this big, huge dent. Like, come on, man.
Terrible. Terrible. I think they would. Yeah, whatever. We could go on for hours and hours.
I feel bad for the listeners that don't care about this stuff.
Yeah. Next time we do this, we'll just do a figure podcast, and
I'll get Broski.
Yeah,
Have you ever interviewed him?
No, I definitely have. He needs
not in long form.
Yeah, he needs to sit down and do the wrestling podcast, and then we need to get together and do a toy podcast. Okay. So we'll do that.
We'll make it happen.
And yeah. Actually, I was gonna have him out here, and then I was like, oh, but then he moved to Florida. If he were out in Long Island still.
But he still comes see his parents. I'll set it up. He comes.
Okay.
He comes enough.
All right. Let me know when he's here. Curt Hawkins, I appreciate.
Just an intriguing character, that Zack Ryder.
Yeah, I mean, in the times that I've talked to him,
I've read almost every wrestling book ever.
Mm-hmm.
If and when he writes a book one day.
Really?
Maybe the number one.
Really?
Just what a run he's had. You know, the ups and the downs that guy has endured.
Yeah.
Pretty special.
Yeah, you kind of forget. I mean, I text every now and then about whether or not the prototypes he finds are legit.
That's
a whole other thing.
What a rabbit hole he's gone down.
Well, we'll go into the rabbit hole of Ryder's career in the first one, and then when the three of us get together, we'll all just go down.
It's like, I guess being a father now, I'm like, this is just irresponsible. What you're doing?
What are you doing? You can't do this. Yeah. You're not going to sell them back.
No, I don't. Yeah, no.
I know you could. You're not going to. You're going to put them in the shelf.
Yeah.
It's insane. Curt Hawkins. Thank you for being here, man.
Yeah, thanks for having us. Fun. As always.
Yes, and we'll do it again. And yeah, man, thanks.
Hey, anytime.